I saw my daughter 16 this morning at Costco, and the look in her eyes broke my heart. I wanted to stay hidden, to avoid any run-ins, but her pain was so clear that it devastated me. I deeply regret meeting the AP and hurting the man I was married to and in love with for 22 years. I know that nothing in this world can replace the warmth and happiness I felt when my family used to gather at the same table for dinner and discussed our day. I miss the life I ruined. Since the divorce, I had no option but to move out and let them have their peace. The weight of shame is still too heavy on my shoulders. The separation has been hard. I tried calling them, hoping one of them would pick up. I sleep and wake up thinking of ways to apologize and tell them how much I love them. I would do anything to find the words to apologize and to lift the deep sadness I go through every second of every day. The real pain hit when I saw her and couldn't say a word. For those who are unfamiliar with my story, the affair started when I met a guy I used to like many years ago, back when we were in college. It wasn't that much of a coincidence to see him in an art gallery, as it belongs to a mutual friend. However, meeting him after so long rekindled a fire in my belly. I found myself reminiscing and longing for those nostalgic feelings. I knew there was no chance with him. I was married, and even back in college, he hadn't shown any real interest in me. As I was about to leave without greeting him, I heard someone call my name. For the first time in years, I felt butterflies in my stomach, and his voice took me back to my 20s. He seemed excited to see me, and he said he was happy to see me again and asked how things had been since our graduation. We stayed back and chatted. I enjoyed it very much. I didn't refuse his invitation to have coffee elsewhere. I wish I had. Everything started there. We talked a lot that night. He had been divorced 3 times. My daughter was on a school trip, and I knew my husband was prepping dinner. Talking to him and opening up about my married life made me aware of the heavy routine I was living in. His presence in my life added a layer of excitement. Before I knew it, I was accepting every invitation from him, telling myself it was just a way to relive the old days, to feel like I was 20 again, and to escape my painful routine. Things got physical somewhere along the way. It was easy with him. Everything fell into place. As guilty as I felt, looking into his eyes while he reassured me made the affair seem okay. Unconsciously, I became distant from my daughter and my husband. I started skipping her dance classes, forgetting to pick her up, and wasn't there every night to serve dinner. I was always out, living like a teenage girl, and it wasn't something I planned. It became very obvious that I was preoccupied with something else in my life. Some days my husband called me multiple times, and I didn't even pick up. I lied a lot until one day he followed me and found out. I didn't realize how special my life was before I met the AP. I miss that stability, that security. I want to go back in time, and this time, I won't respond when he calls my name. I will never betray the trust of those I truly care about and love again. I sincerely regret it, and the waves of guilt are too heavy for me. I can't do this anymore. I want to be able to speak to them again. I know I ruined my life for some childish feelings. I would give anything to have it back as it was before. I've lost everything: my home, my husband, my daughter. This damage is causing me a lot of pain. Story 2. My cheating STB XOW confuses the hell out of me. As for my marriage, I came to the conclusion that I can never trust my wife again. Without trust, it's not possible to have a relationship. I also came to the conclusion that I do not love my wife. I don't love the person she has become. My love for her used to be a very big part of me, but she killed that with the affair. It totally changed my perception of her. Maybe I could learn to love her again, but to be able to do that, I would have to want that. And TBH, I don't want to. Better to end it and get on with our lives. I no longer want this marriage. I don't want our relationship. I don't want her. The part of me that loved her, the part of me that used to feel endless joy and happiness when thinking about her, that now fills me with dread and memories of pain. Actually, any thought of association with her causes me serious discomfort at the moment. Divorce is inevitable, I think, and I want to get it done as soon as possible. When it came to planning the meeting with my wife, I wrote down some principles on who I want to be. I would make every effort in my meeting with her to try to be that man, the man I used to be before all this. I was not going to be deceitful. I was not going to give her false hope that there was a chance to reconcile just to get a postnup or some benefit in divorce. I have decided to act as fairly as possible. I will divide all assets with her equally. We will have 50-50 custody. Even though she has acted terribly towards me, I will not use her as a role model. I will act so I can stand by my actions today, tomorrow, and 20 years from now. I hate her for what she did to me, what she did to us, to our children. But I love the memories of the good times we had together while it lasted, and I love our children that we created and raised together. I will try to remember her in this light moving forward, not her cheating. So Saturday came and I went to see her. Her sister had warned me that she was not in good shape. She was not wrong. My STB looked absolutely horrible. Bloodshot eyes, swollen face, unkempt hair. She looked many sizes smaller than I remember, like she had imploded into herself. I doubt she has slept or eaten much this week. We all sat down, and my wife was shaking almost uncontrollably. I just sat there and waited for her to collect herself enough to speak. She started several times but would break down crying. Watching her, it's clear it's not an act. I have seen her cry many times before, but never like this. I guess people can fake cry, but I doubt anyone can fake the look of crying nonstop for a week mixed with soul-torturing sobs and giant snot bubbles. When she finally started talking, it was like a dam burst. She apologized every second word. Surprisingly, she didn't try to excuse herself or shift the blame to me. Her sister cried as well and would from time to time berate her. It also became clear that her sister had warned her this would happen. Apparently, it's how her sister lost her fiancé a year back. I didn't know that. Her sister's cheating gave my wife a midlife crisis of sorts. She started to think about cheating a lot. In the end, it seems she did this because she got infatuated, she had a crush on the guy and couldn't help herself. She never believed I would find out, or that anyone would get hurt. It was a completely selfish thing. She was apparently very happy in our marriage. She convinced herself that she deserves this fling and that I probably supported her choice if I knew how happy she was at the time. She convinced herself that this affair would pass and we would all go back to living happy family lives ever after. She had no idea I had found out, and only when I started to check out did she start to question what was going on. I learned she broke up with the AP about 1.5 months ago. The buzz had started to wear off. She gave me her phone to check and she had blocked him. When I unblocked him, messages dating back 1.5 months started pouring in. She had been trying to re-engage me in our marriage, but I hadn't shown any interest of having anything to do with her. Up until I sat her down, she was convinced that we would be able to find a way back together and that we would end up stronger than ever. When she looked into my eyes when I confronted her, she understood that this was probably the end of the line. The reality of it all hit her like a ton of bricks. She had been reading everything she could about fixing a broken marriage after infidelity. She had a complete timeline, in detailed confession signed, and everything ready for me. I haven't read it, I just gave it to my lawyer. She begged and begged and begged for a second chance. She would do anything she said. I told her I didn't believe her. In fact, I didn't believe anything she said. I just don't trust her. She asked me what she could do to fix it. I told her she broke it. If she doesn't know how, can she expect me to present her with a solution? I asked her if she was in my shoes. What would she answer to that, if anything? These types of questions went back and forth for a while. In the end, she conceded that had the roles been reversed, she probably wouldn't forgive this either. I told her I had gotten an STI test and that I would DNA test the kids. She completely broke down for about 20 minutes when she heard this. She insisted that this was the only time she had ever cheated or done anything out of line. Again, after some back and forth, she conceded that I had no reason to believe her, and if she was in my shoes, she would probably do the same. I asked her if AP's wife knew. She didn't know. She conceded that she deserved to know. I asked her if she should tell her or should I. She asked me if I would consider reconciling or marriage counseling if she told her. I told her no, but I said it would help her regain a tiny bit of respect in my eyes. She promised to tell the AP's wife, and everybody else, she would go to HR as well and confess everything. Again, I told her I don't really believe her. She swore she would never be with anyone else, and that she would never give up on getting back with me, even if it took the rest of her life. I didn't believe her, but I didn't say anything. It was getting redundant at this point. She offered me a one-sided open marriage, access to all her communication, 24/7 availability. I told her that I had talked to Monica and that I am waiting because I don't want to cheat. I don't want to be in an open relationship. It would hurt her if we did that, and I don't want to hurt other people like she hurt me. I don't want to be her jailer either. Constantly snooping on her and being suspicious isn't grounds for a healthy relationship. At this point, we were all exhausted. We had been going out for over 5 hours, and my wife had been crying on a scale from bad to absolutely horrifying almost the entire time. We weren't going to get any further on this. It was done. I told her very clearly that the love I used to have for her had died. I didn't recognize the person she had become anymore. Our family had died by her hand, and that I would go through with divorce. This was incredibly painful to tell her. She was crying hard while mumbling, "No, no, 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 please. No, please, no." When I got up to leave, she got a massive, almost explosive nosebleed. She started to reach for me, but she passed out. I managed to catch her before she hit the floor. I drove her and her sister to the ER and stayed until I learned she would be okay. Last night and today, STBXW has been telling everyone what she has done. The AP's wife called me this morning, get confirmation that what my wife had told her was true. I sent her copies of some of the evidence. I just learned she kicked her husband out. She wants to meet and look at more of the evidence. She has been suspecting for a long time but haven't had anything solid. I suggested we sit down for dinner tomorrow. She had a need to talk and asked if we could talk on the phone. I don't know if I can take that on right now. I told her maybe later. I freely admit I am feeling like a piece of shit. I haven't been able to sleep. Cracks are forming in my resolve. I know I must stay strong, but it's very hard. Why do I feel so guilty? Why do I feel responsible to try to fix this? We may be able to fool ourselves for a while, but it will most likely not work long term. Some of her friends and relatives have been calling me up and cursing me out. They think I should give her a second chance. But in my mind, I'm thinking, why drag out the pain? Better to get it over with so we can start to heal and build new lives. So that's it. Nothing spectacular. No revenge, no resolve, no peace. No happy ending, just more pain for all of us. My mind is in a very dark place right now. I don't know what to do, to be honest. It's completely normal to feel overwhelmed and guilty right now, even though the responsibility lies with your wife. You've made the right choice to end the marriage, given her betrayal. Her emotional breakdown and the backlash from her friends and family aren't your fault or your burden to bear. It's commendable that you're handling this fairly and focusing on your children's well-being. The idea of an open marriage or monitoring her isn't a healthy solution. Keep firm boundaries and protect yourself emotionally. As for the AP's wife, engage at your own pace. Your well-being comes first. You've been through a lot, and it's okay to take things slow. You're doing what's best for you and your kids by moving forward. Stay strong and keep focusing on healing.